I also request Mr. Akash to present a sapling to Dr. M. Madhavan, Executive Committee Member, Indian Economic Association, Namakkal, Tamil Nadu. Thank you. May I request Dr. L. Govardhan Reddy to present a sapling to Professor Srinivasa Murthy, Director, IPE. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Mallikarjuna Naik Vadite to present a sapling to Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy, our Chief Guest, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education. Thank you, sir. May I request Mr. Aravind to present a sapling to Dr. Sanjay Baru, Distinguished Fellow, United Service Institution of India and former media advisor to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Thank you. I request Dr. Karunashree to present a sapling to Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy, Local Organizing Secretary, Indian Economic Association and Honorary Director, ICSSR South Regional Center. Thank you, distinguished scholars. These saplings symbolize our collective commitment to sustainability, growth, and nurturing of future generations, values that resonate deeply with the spirit of this conference. I request Sony to present a sapling to Professor Dulasi Brinda Varadarajan, President, Indian Economic Association. Thank you all. These saplings symbolize our collective commitment to sustainability, growth, and the nurturing future generations, values that resonate deeply with the spirit of this conference. Thank you all. On behalf of the Indian Economic Association, in collaboration with the Department of Economics, Usmania University, Hyderabad, and IPE, it is my privilege to warmly welcome you to the valedictory session of the 108th Annual Conference of the Indian Economic Association. This valedictory session marks the formal conclusion of 3 days of rich academic deliberations, insightful discussions, and meaningful exchanges that genuinely reflect the spirit and intellectual legacy of the Indian Economic Association. Now we begin today's program. To commence the proceedings, may I respectfully request Professor Lakshmi Kumari, Dean, Institute of Public Enterprise, to deliver the welcome address. Madam, we kindly request that you address the gathering.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, dignitaries on the dais and dignitaries of the dais. It's our great privilege that all the great minds since 3 days, great economists, have delivered their valuable keynote addresses, plenary sessions on various important topics on the Indian economy and how the Viksit Bharat to be achieved by 2047. So we have discussed various subjects on various issues and how we have marked towards the growth. So it is really a great event. We can say that economists meeting at one place is a very valuable thing, and many scholars have made their presentations who are going to be the budding policymakers or the teachers or maybe into any fields that they wanted to be, who are trained under great economists, have presented their valuable research works in various panels, and which is a very good deliberations that have gone through. But we cannot continue all these things throughout the year, because we have to again go back and bring out again, do good works and come back next year again with good thoughts and see that these things are implemented at the national and international level. So there should be a valedictory for any program. So that time has come, and on behalf of IEA and on behalf of IPE, who are partnering with this program, I welcome all the dignitaries to this valedictory session, and I welcome Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy Garu, Chairman Telangana State Council of Higher Education, for his valuable times coming here to share his thoughts, because this bringing eminent people onto the common platform, it's a great thing that Balakrishna Reddy Garu is from the State Council of Higher Education, because we are aware education plays a very important role for shaping anything, because minds, that the thought starts from the university level. So, and then I again welcome Professor Anirban Sarkar, Joint Secretary IEA, Registrar West Bengal State University, Kolkata, and Professor Kasim, Principal Arts and Social Science, Osmania University. And we welcome for our valedictory session Professor Sanjay Baru, Distinguished Fellow at the University Service Institution of India and former media advisor to Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. As an economist, sir, I got this opportunity to welcome you, and from the University of Hyderabad as a student, we used to listen to your lectures, and I am so happy that today I got an opportunity to be part of this program and see you on this dais. Thank you, sir. And I welcome Associate President Professor Tulasi Brindavan Varadarajan Madam, and she is the Associate President of IEA, and also Professor D.K. Madanji, Secretary IEA, and finally we welcome Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy Garu. He is the Local Organizing Secretary and Honorary Director ICSR SRC, who is very much instrumental in making this program a grand success at the southern level especially. We have been coordinating with sir since more than 1 month, and he is very busy coordinating all the activities, morning to day and night until 2 o'clock. He was busy in coordinating all the people, their stay, their accommodation, logistics, without getting into any problem. Many ladies have come from all the way with their children, family, who have gathered here without any single problem. He was able to handle this with his team, who supported with back end support. Really, the entire team worked so hard for this, and we are so happy to welcome you, sir, for this valedictory session. And thank you. Now I hand over this to our Vamsi Vasudha, please.
Thank you, Madam, for setting the tone of this valedictory session. Next, we have the Chief Guest address. May I invite Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, Hyderabad, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Good afternoon to economists of the country, and dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, respected teachers. I can see some of the teachers, including my teacher. So, friends, so definitely, so I should congratulate that, you are religiously conducting the, your Indian Economic Association meetings regularly with taking important themes of, that year concerned. I think, this time, 108, Indian Economic Congress is happened. I just now heard that, a lot of themes which are contemporary in context were discussed for last 2 days, 3 days. So as a student of law, what I have to speak with economics. Of course, economics is part of everybody. What is the economics? We know that study of wealth. Study of wealth is not new to the humanity. If you go back to the history, even the economics started, the trading started way before the nation states took birth. That is what maybe modus operandi of trade economics may be different. Earlier we used to talk about barter system. Today we are talking about, barter system to mobile commerce, e-commerce, whatever. So that is what, humanity, economics is integral part of everybody. That's why I know I was busy, but, I choose to meet with you, nothing else. I am not here to give, talk. So definitely economics, if you look at way back, if I recollect, student, 14th century BC, the king of Babylonia had a, trade agreement with, other king. Like, way back centuries, the trade, business, economics was part of humanity. But how the transformation is happening, 2-3 minutes I'll take, and, particularly over the, centuries, if you look at the kind of theories we, studied part of economics, maybe we have a mercantilism, free trade theory, protectionism. Of course, today we have, many other things added, over the times, because depending on the demanding of those things. But today, not going back to the history, but what are the important factors which are influencing the economic activity of global, across the globe? I, as a student of law, think, maybe, the following 5 important factors which are responsible for, the economic, influence the economics of across the globe. One is the globalization. Second one is liberalization. Third is privatization. Fourth is digitization. Fifth is COVIDization. Friends, of course, you heard about 4, first one, globalization, liberalization, privatization, digitization. But COVIDization is a term which, as a student of law, I am using, taking clue from the globalization, liberalization, how it impacted the global society, global governance, global economy. So COVIDization, I don't say I kind of, invented, discovered, but as a student, as a scholar, I am using the COVIDization. I've done research on that, COVIDization. How COVID, if I go to, globalization, it is history, globalization is not new to the humanity. We have all seen economic globalization, political globalization, cultural globalization, all these things. But, part of that, liberalization happened. Countries used to take the, their own policies. Because in the global context, you all know that you are, experts of economics. So one, challenge when we talk about the international context, global treaties, there is no supranational authority. Countries have to consent. Countries have to take, those treaties into their domestic context. That is where, the countries like India, we are, participated in the global conferences, global treaties. To implement that globalization process in economic context, we have adopted, and India, of course, Sanjay Garu is here, how the transformation of economy happened, post 1991, you all know that, so LPG or GLP, whatever you call, liberalization, privatization, all these things, last 35 years, if you look at 3.5 decades, if you look at the kind of transformation which we are witnessing, thanks to P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, Manmohan Singh ji, including, indirectly, I can say this credit goes to our Sanjay ji also. Yes, sir? So you are part of this, LPG, this thing. So this is a kind of transformation which we are witnessing, all those, globalization. But what, being a India, I heard you discuss some of the things about, rising what is the Vikasit Bharat 2047, one of the theme. Definitely in the national level, Prime Minister talks about Vikasit Bharat 2047 or Amrit Kal, whatever. Here we, in Telangana, because I want to bring to your notice that recently Telangana government hosted Global Summit on Rising Telangana 2047, aiming at $3 trillion by 2047. What Prime Minister says, $30 trillion, 2047. So we, India is a federation of states. Each state have to compete, if not contradicting federalism, but cooperation federalism, where states are coming forward. In that process, Telangana state is forefront, and recently we had, important global summit, which we tried to attract the investments, which, papers and conclusion was 5,75,000 lakhs, 5,75,000 crore investments came to Telangana because of this summit, rising Telanganas. So each state we are, witnessing, we are, competing with each other for, good thing. So this is what, the economic aspects. Of course, sustainability is important, that's why we got saplings. Sustainability economics is correlation. When we say what is sustainable, today across the globe, you know that you are all experts. One debate is going on, whether environment important or development. Of course, different for different people. For developing countries, development is important. For developed countries, economics is environment is important. But compromise formula, you all have seen how this shaping, moving towards the, sustainable development. When I say Rio conference, if you look at, Stockholm conference, human environment, Rio conference, environment and development, and Johannesburg conference, sustainable development. That is where today the debate is going on, that whether environment development, compromise formula is sustainable development. We all know that, that is what. But one important thing, intellectuals are sitting here. There is a other debate is also going on, that is common but differentiated responsibility. What is that common? What is that differentiated responsibility? Common is that every country, of course, today globe is composed of developing, all those things. So common to everything is, if we are to protect, if we are to preserve environment, irrespective of our, economic background, whether developed or developing countries, we have to protect, we call in legal language, uscogens. Erga omnes obligation. Uscogens means it's a preemptory noun. Erga omnes obligation is that every country has to obligatorily implement, environmental protection. That is the kind of discussions are happening across the globe. Of course, we as a developing country, I don't know, we are in the process of moving for a developed country. That's what I always say, that India is transition for transformation. What kind of transition it is happening from a developing country to developed country, third world economy to third largest economy, from importer economy to exporter. These kind of things are happening, aiming, viewing, seeing towards 2047. Part of that, today, we developing countries are demanding that, you developed countries were more responsible for, degradation, environmental pollution, you pay more. But to conclude, definitely, if we have to say that protection of environment, irrespective of our backgrounds, we have to protect. It should be a norm. That norm has to be followed by every country. That is what we call erga omnes obligation. It is obligation of every country to follow, protect the environment norms. Then only we can, save this planet, and we can give our, resources and other things to future generation. So this kind of debates, maybe, I don't know whether you discussed, but these are all happening relating to economics, relating to developments. So this is what, I thought just I'll say a few words, and I'll take, your excuse because we have a meeting. So I came here again to say hello to you, nothing else. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and perspectives. As sir is having some important work, I request the dignitaries on the dais to felicitate sir as a token of respect.
I want to hear from more you, but
We now move to an essential segment of the program, the conference report presentation, which provides a comprehensive overview of the conference, academic deliberations and outcomes. May I invite Professor Anirban Sarkar, Joint Secretary, Indian Economic Association, Kolkata, to present the conference report. Sir, please.
Very good afternoon to all present in this valedictory session. My regards to the esteemed persons who are on the dais and my colleagues, friends, research scholars of the dais. So this is a time to wrap up now. We have been here for 3 consecutive days, including today, and we will try to give a glimpse of what has happened in the past 3 days in our conference. So, as you know, there were 5 themes of this conference. One was Viksit Bharat, second was structural changes and modernization of the Indian economy, third was tariff war and new era of global trade, fourth were Indian knowledge contribution in economics, fifth was economy of Telangana. So, out of these 5 themes, we have conducted 8 technical sessions. 5 technical sessions were held yesterday and 3 technical sessions were held today. So we have the data with us. For theme 1, we have 16 presentations yesterday. For theme 2, there were 10 presentations. For theme 3, there were 11 presentations. For theme 4, there were 9 presentations. And for theme 5, there were 9 presentations. So total 55 papers were presented yesterday, and during today, in theme 1 there were 16 paper presentations, in day 2 there were 20 paper presentations, and in day 2 theme, today we have actually 1 structural changes in both the hall, so theme 2 were repeated in both the sessions, and we have altogether 20 plus 19, total 39 presentations. So today we have seen around 55 total paper presentations. So in a nutshell, we can say that for 2 days, we have listened to 110 paper presentations. So I congratulate them that they have come here and presented their papers and enlightened us with their scholarship. And I will fail in my duty if I not mention the resource persons who have come for the plenary sessions, and they have enlightened us with their speech. We have understood the value of these 5 themes that we have chosen. So I extend my regards and heartfelt congratulations to all the stakeholders of this university, as well as our IEA fraternity, those who have helped us to make this conference a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable and detailed presentation. We now move to the valedictory address, the highlight of this session. It's a great honor to invite Dr. Sanjay Baru, Distinguished Fellow, United Service Institution of India and former media advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, to deliver the valedictory address. Sir, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished members on the dais, President of the Indian Economic Association, General Secretary of the Indian Economic Association, Director for the Institute of Public Enterprise, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first begin on a very personal note. I'm delighted to be here this morning. Osmania University is a campus on which I spent my childhood. My father used to work here. And my first job was as lecturer in economics at the Department of Economics in the Arts College. 1978, and I was delighted to meet a couple of my students here who are attending, and students of my students, which is fantastic. um, sorry, let me switch off my phone. Um, Usmania had a very distinguished Department of Economics. For those of you who are familiar, Professor Gautam Mathur, who was actually the PhD supervisor of Dr. Manmohan Singh at Cambridge. He was the head of the Department of Economics at Usmania. Joan Robinson, whom all of you would be familiar with, once described Dr. Mathur as the brightest student she ever had. He built a very active Department of Economics here. And of course, he was very disappointed when I told him that I'll go and do my MA in JNU and not in Usmania. So though I did my BA here, I did my MA from Delhi, but came back to teach here and in some ways fulfill that obligation, by which time Dr. Mathur had left this place. This is the 108th meeting of the Indian Economic Association. And I wonder how many of you noted the fact that recently Professor J. Krishnamurthy, who used to be at the Delhi School of Economics, passed away. One of his great contributions was to write a book on the contribution of Indian economists to the discipline of economics from 1900 to 1945. And I would urge all of you to read that book because it shows the seminal contribution that economists in India during the British period made not just to an understanding of the Indian economy, but to an understanding of the discipline of economics. And Krishnamurthy dug through a lot of archival literature to put together this book. So I pay homage to his memory. He passed away a couple of weeks back. Incidentally, he happens to be the maternal uncle of our Foreign Minister, Jaishankar. But when I was a student here at Nizam College, our library had books of all these individuals. Veera Anstey, Radhakamal Mukherjee, C.N. Vakil, V.K.R.V. Rao. These are all the big names among Indian economists of the pre-war period. And our teachers encouraged us to read those books. I remember reading Radhakamal Mukherjee as a BA student, reading Veera Anstey as a BA student. And I keep wondering these days how many students are encouraged to read original books and not just textbooks and primers for exams. But one of the great contributions of these early economists was to make that discipline relevant to the needs of this country, to focus on development economics. That it was not simply that economics as a discipline developed in the West with an understanding of European economies and that we learn this discipline without questioning it. But let us try to understand how some of the ideas in the discipline developed in Western institutions are relevant to our conditions. And that is how the discipline of Indian economics developed. I'm not sure if these days there is a course called Indian economics. I used to teach a course at the Central University of Hyderabad where I was an associate professor on Indian economics, introducing students to various distinguished Indians, K.N. Raj or V.K.R.V. Rao and P.R. Brahmananda and many other distinguished economists who contributed to our discipline. So since you're all members of the Indian Economic Association, I hope you will devote some of your time to a study of those who came before and contributed to an understanding of our economy. The themes you have chosen for your conference this year, Viksit Bharat, Structural Change and Modernization, Trade and Tariffs, Indian Knowledge Systems, and the Future of Telangana, are all interrelated. I know that it is normal for conferences like this to have separate sessions for each theme. But I'm sure you will recognize that all of them are in some ways interrelated. You cannot think about a development of India as a developed economy or the progress of India as a developed economy without looking at the kind of structural change that is required, without looking at the consequences of modernization and the requirements of modernization, without understanding the global economy and the kind of opportunities and challenges the global economy poses. And these challenges are only increasing, as all of you would know, in the recent past with the tariff and trade war unleashed by Donald Trump. And of course, the future of any state, not just Telangana, but any Indian state, would depend on how we address these challenges at the national and global level. So it's important to think of each of these topics not as individual subjects, but to think of the kind of interrelationships that exist between these different challenges that we face. That you cannot have a developed India without fundamental structural changes. We have had structural changes over the last 75 years, but there are still requirements as we go forward. You cannot have a developed economy without modernizing the economy. And one of the central elements of any strategy of modernization is in fact education. To be able to build a forward-looking educational system and one that equips us for the future. And of course, you cannot become a developed economy in the world today if we are not adequately linked to the rest of the global economy and take advantage of these. So I think when you go away from this conference, I would urge you to explore these interrelationships and see in what way this overall agenda of Viksit Bharat can in fact be addressed by locating solutions in each of the areas that you have written papers on and you're doing research on. The speaker before me spoke about Telangana and the future of Telangana, and that every state is working within the framework of federal relations. That brings us to the interlinkage between economics, economic policy, and politics. There is no way in which we can address the challenges that the Indian economy faces without understanding the nature of the political system within which we are operating. And there I would urge that it has become fashionable now for many states to have state-level visions. Tamil Nadu has said they wants to be a $1 trillion economy. Telangana wants to be a $1 trillion economy. UP wants to be a $1 trillion economy. Gujarat wants to be a $1 trillion economy. So each of these states is thinking of a strategy for that state to become a $1 trillion economy. And hoping that you add up all of that, then we become a $30 trillion economy by 2047 and, would be regarded as a developed economy. But I urge you to consider the fact that states do not develop in isolation of each other. That we are, at the end of the day, a union of states. The Constitution begins with the line, India, that is Bharat, that is a union of states. And the federal system that has evolved over the last 75 years was based on the understanding that you need both a strong center and strong states. You cannot have a strong center if the states are weak. You cannot have a strong states if the center is weak. In other words, the center and the state have to work together in order to be able to take the economy forward. Which is why, given the assumption that in a democracy you will have multiple political parties and different political parties would be functioning in different parts of the country, we erected structures for strengthening these federal relationships. The Planning Commission was one such structure. It was not thought of when the Constitution was written, but soon after, Prime Minister Nehru created the Planning Commission as an institution that would think about these center-state issues of development. The Finance Commission, of course, was a constitutional body, and you had NK speaking here the other day. was the last chairman, chairman of the previous Finance Commission. But we also created other federal structures. We created what was called the National Development Council, which used to meet every few years with all the chief ministers and the prime minister present. We had conference of state chief ministers. Every year, during the 10 years that Manmohan Singh was prime minister, every year there would be a conference of state chief ministers. Unfortunately, over the last few years, each of these institutions has been wound up. The Planning Commission has been shut down, the National Development Council does not meet, and state chief ministers' conferences rarely happen. And I think that is a challenge. You cannot pursue a strategy of national development called Viksit Bharat without involving every single state in an overall framework of developed planning. Till 1991, we believed in planning as the framework for development, and therefore we had 5-year plans, etc. It is true that some of those plans worked, some of them didn't. But what is very interesting, if you look at those plans, is that more or less the targets set out in one plan would be met, if not in that plan, in the next plan. So you had some kind of a planned development, slow progress, but nevertheless adequately planned development, so that apart from the challenges the country faced in essentially border areas, the Northeast and Kashmir, there was overall a sense of coming together, which has also happened subsequently in the rest of the country. But I think today we are facing a challenge of center-state relations once again, because what has happened over the last 35 years, after 91, with the liberalization and the growth of market forces, is that different states have developed at different pace of growth. That was happening even before. If you look at the historical record, even during the first half of the last century, 1900 to 1950, you have the work of George Blinn and Elizabeth Whitcomb, which shows that the Madras presidency, the Bombay presidency developed faster than the Bengal presidency and the United Provinces. These were the British provinces. And so even after independence, the Madras presidency, essentially including Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, parts of Andhra Pradesh, what is now Andhra Pradesh, what was then part of the original state of Andhra Pradesh, and Gujarat and Maharashtra, which were part of the Bombay presidency, developed faster than Bengal, Orissa, Northeast, Assam, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. This divide has continued. The divide continued during the plan period, but it has accentuated in the post-planning period. So the last 35 years, we now have the southern and western states developing at a much faster pace. One consequence of that has been internal migration. Hundreds of thousands of people now move across the country, working in the more developed parts of the country, particularly in urban areas. And that has become a major issue. And we saw during COVID the consequences of large-scale migration because people had to walk back home once lockdown was imposed overnight, and it imposed enormous stress. I remember then the Telangana chief minister actually going on television and assuring people from other parts of the country, don't go away, stay here, we'll take care of you. And I think that was a unique gesture of a state chief minister. Now, this is going to become an increasingly important challenge because this migration is not ending. And those of you who have come from outside Hyderabad, I assume all of you came by plane despite the crisis in civil aviation. But you would have seen, these days all these planes are full of people from the rest of India coming to this city, because you go, I don't know if you have had a chance to go to the new part of the city, Cyberabad, Gachibowli, and that part, and you see that growth is essentially contributing to an enormous inflow of hundreds of thousands of people coming from all over India. This is true in Bangalore, this is true here, it's true in Pune. And this is going to be a major challenge for Viksit Bharat, or for going forward, which we are not addressing adequately. And this can only be addressed politically, because political, emotional integration of the country remains a challenge. And unless that challenge is addressed politically, where every Indian feels is a part of the growth process, that growth process is not going to go forward. Right? If sentiments which are based on either religion or caste or region, now we never thought of region as a problem. We recognized the religious divide, the caste divide as problems, but we never recognized regional divide as a problem. But it is coming up. Today you have states in the south saying, why are we paying so much tax? We are the ones generating revenue. This money goes to Delhi, which it then spends on other states which are not developing, which are not generating those revenues. Why should we be part of India? Let us, have a separate republic. Now, these sentiments are, stray sentiments, but politically we have to recognize them and address them. And therefore, I submit to you that any discussion about economic future of the country, which is what you are undertaking in this two-day conference, cannot be devoid of a discussion of the political future of the country. That India can only become developed as a united nation, as a united country, in which every citizen has a stake in the future of the country. If you do not give that stake, then you are not creating the political basis for economic development. You look at the growth process itself. You're all familiar with the fact that from 1950 to 1980, we had 3.5% growth. From 80 to 2000, over 20 years, we had 5.5% growth. From 2000 to 2012, roughly, we had almost 7.5% growth. In fact, from 2003 to 2009, we had 8% growth, more than 8% growth. So there was an acceleration of growth. And it is on the basis of that acceleration of growth, this trend over half a century, that the world began to wake up to India. I mean, the idea that India was a rising power or an emerging economy, etc., all these ideas, if you go and look at the literature, are really dated from, I would say, around the late 90s, of 98, till about the early 2000s, 2010. It is in that 12, 15-year period that a lot of books were written by people both within the country but also globally, focusing on India. And the international approach to India changed, which is one reason why we could do the nuclear deal with the United States during Manmohan Singh's first term. But also, there was a recognition. I mean, I remember Lee Kuan Yew, the founder president of Singapore, who was always a critic of India, and who thought, the Indians can't get their act together. They are, basically never thought that India was a country. It was a piece of land stitched together by a railway line. I remember Lee Kuan Yew's statement that, India is this subcontinent which is stitched together by a railway line built by the British. So that was a very put down view of the country. And suddenly in 2008, Lee Kuan Yew gave an interview in which he said that, Asia is rising on the basis of two engines of growth, China and India. And all of us woke up when Lee Kuan Yew gave that interview for Forbes magazine. It was the first time that a man highly respected in East Asia, the part of Asia that was growing rapidly, recognized that, look, India and China are in the same boat. 2008. And that was the basis for a lot of Western assessments of India's growth prospects. Between 2008 and today, China has become 5 times bigger. The last 20 years have seen a phenomenal, unprecedented acceleration of China's economic growth. No large country has grown at that pace ever in history. The only example we have of a country growing at, year on year 10% growth over a 30-year period is of Japan in the middle of the 19th century, after the Meiji Restoration. But Japan was a small island. But then Japan was the country, the first Asian nation to become an industrial nation, right? Swami Vivekananda, when he went to Japan on his way to Chicago, where he gave that famous speech, was astounded by Japan's development and then told Jamshedji Tata, who was traveling with him on the same ship, you know, look at what the Japanese have done. Go back to India, set up an Indian Institute of Science, set up a steel mill, you know, start investing in production, not in trade, because as you know, the Parsis and the Tatas were all involved in selling opium to the Chinese, and they're essentially traders. But it is Vivekananda who told Tata, get into manufacturing. Mokshagundam Vishveshwaraya, the first engineer to get a Bharat Ratna. In fact, one of the two engineers to get a Bharat Ratna, the other being Abdul Kalam, came back from Japan and gave us the slogan for the national movement, industrialize or perish. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all this is that there was a period in which India's rise was being noticed by the rest of the world, and the rest of the world talked about rising Asia. 5 years ago, an economist from Hyderabad, who used to be, actually started his career as the correspondent for Business India magazine in Hyderabad, and ended his career in the International Monetary Fund, Vasuki Shastri, wrote a book challenging the rise of this argument, the rise of Asia. He said, you know, everybody used to talk about the rise of Asia, but Asia is sputtering. The Asian engine is sputtering. And why was the Asian engine sputtering? Because the Indian engine has sputtered. There has been a deceleration in the rate of growth of the Indian economy over the last 15 years. Whatever the official claims may be, the fact is that we as I said, we are 3.5, 5.5, 7.5. We are now below 7.5. The average rate of growth for the last 25 years is now 6.5%, based on official data. Average rate of growth for the last 25 years is 6.5%, which is certainly below the 7.5 which we attained between 2000 and 2015, right? And if some of the critics of government data say that this is exaggerated, it's not even 6.5, it's actually 6. Immediately after COVID, I published a book titled, The Impact of COVID, on what should the government do in order to revive economic development after COVID. And I had several contributors, very distinguished economists writing for that book. One of them was Bibek Debroy, who was till recently chairman of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, who died last year. And the other was Ananta Nageshwaran, who is now the Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. And both Bibek and Ananta Nageshwaran, in their essays in my book, forecast that over the next 5 years, that is from 20 to 25, these 5 years, the rate of growth would be 6%. Now, you can look back and see, was it 6%, was below 6%? Economists like Shankar Acharya, who's a former Chief Economic Advisor, thinks, in fact, the rate of growth over the last 5 years was around 5% and not 6%. Whatever the debate on the data, the quality of the data, and the veracity of the data, the fact is we have slowed down. And what does it take for India to be a developed economy by 2047? The estimates show that you need a year-on-year growth rate of 8% over the next 2 decades for the country to be have a national income that would allow us to be defined as a developed economy. So your Viksit Bharat from 2025 to 2047 requires an year-on-year rate of growth of 8%. Now, a year-on-year rate of growth of 8% would mean some years in which it is below 8% and some years in which it is above 8%. So 10% in some years, maybe 6% in some years. In other words, to get an average rate of growth of 8%, you need, so there will be some years agriculture is not good or some international crisis or whatever, growth slows down. So the challenge for us, we keep on talking about Viksit Bharat, this has become a phrase, like self-reliance. What does it mean? It means pushing the rate of growth of the economy from a quarter century average, last quarter century, 20 to 2025, of 6.5% to a quarter century average of 8%. Now you do the math. What does it mean in agriculture? What does it mean for manufacturing? What does it mean for education? How many engineers do you need? How many doctors do you need? How many nurses do you need? That is the kind of research I would like to see. About 10 years back, Meghnad Desai, the late Meghnad Desai, Lord Meghnad Desai, and I edited another book called The Bombay Plan. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard of the Bombay Plan. Maybe some of you are even teaching the Bombay Plan, but I urge you all to read the Bombay Plan. And in my book, in our book, we have published the original text of the Bombay Plan. What was the Bombay Plan? The Bombay Plan was a document written by 5 industrialists: G.D. Birla, J.R.D. Tata, Lala Sriram, Ardeshir Dalal, 4 of them being industrialists, and the 5th, an economist who was working for them, who later became finance minister, John Mathai. 5 of them wrote a document. It was called a long-term plan for India's economic development. It was written in 1945 and submitted to the then British government. The British government in 45 asked Ardeshir Dalal, who was one of the members of that 5 group, saying, now that you have written this document, come join the government and tell us how we can implement your plan. So Ardeshir Dalal became advisor to the government in 45. Now you go and look at that document. The reason we actually published this book, Meghnad and I, was to draw attention to the fact that that was the kind of thinking. You know, I mentioned J. Krishnamurti and the great economists who were in this country from 1900 to 1945. They were all the people that had educated your Lala Sriram and J.R.D. Tata and G.D. Birla, the industrialists. What did they produce? They produced a detailed document which said, this is the population in India today. 15 years from now, this will likely to be the population. To feed this population, we need so many tons of rice, so many tons of wheat, so many tons of poultry, vegetables, etc. To provide housing for this population, we will need so many homes, 2-bedroom homes, and to build those 2-bedroom homes, we will need so many tons of cement, so many bricks. They did this kind of detailed analysis. It is mind-boggling to see the kind of detailed analysis they did. And then told the government, now this is what we have to do. We have to produce so much steel, so much cement, so many bricks, create so many schools, hospitals, and therefore doctors and nurses. That is how you do planning. That is how you build a country. And that thinking has evaporated from our discipline. We are no longer doing that kind of detailed analysis. We just have this future city, Vision 2020, all the big talk about the future. But I think the time has come for us to address what are the challenges of today. How many engineers are we producing? What are they doing? What is the quality of construction that we are creating? What is the quality of roads that we are building? So all this talk of Viksit Bharat, I'm afraid, is a lot of hot air. If we do not get into these details, the kind of details that industrialists did, 45, so what, that is 80 years ago. Finally, let me end with what I regard as an emerging challenge, which is the focus of my latest book. I've just published a book about 3-4 months ago titled Secession of the Successful. It is about emigration, both brain drain and wealth drain. In the 1970s, late 70s and early 80s, Professor Jagdish Bhagwati and others like him, V.M. Dandekar, Sukhatme, they all actually addressed this challenge because they suddenly found, thanks to all the IITs and the medical colleges, etc., that the government of India had built during the 1950s and 60s, of which we are still very proud of, India had produced a lot of engineers and doctors. And the world suddenly discovered, oh, India has all these very good engineers and doctors. It's very easy to hire them, and started hiring us. The British National Health System immediately sucked in doctors out of India. The United States sucked in engineers out of India. And the number of doctors and engineers emigrating to Britain and the US increased dramatically in the 1970s. So that is what woke up someone like Jagdish Bhagwati, who wrote an essay on brain drain and recommended some kind of a tax on emigration, etc. For about 8 to 10 years, if you look at the literature, you look at the Economic and Political Weekly of that time and other journals, for about 8 to 10 years, you had a lot of research on this. After that, we stopped worrying. Today, you are here today in a city where every young person wants to go abroad. Hyderabad, Bangalore have become export centers for young Indians. And the numbers are there. I have quoted in my book Parliament numbers, data given in the Parliament. Then the number of millionaires. 23,000 millionaires emigrated out of India in the last 10 years. Where have they gone? Dubai, Singapore, London. So going forward, this is going to be a major challenge. Of course, the only hope is that people like Donald Trump will stop immigration. And if they developed countries pursue policies to stop immigration, fine. But even Donald Trump is making a distinction between low talented workers, H-1B, and the more highly talented engineers and doctors and financial analysts, etc. So the West will continue because the demographics of the global system are such that Western developed economies are aging. Japan is aging. The Japanese ambassador, I can tell you from my conversations with him, is desperate to teach Japanese to young Indians and take them from here. When Putin was here in Delhi earlier this month, we signed an agreement with Russia to export Indians to Russia because Russia, their young people are dying in the war. They need more young people. Taiwan, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Taiwan to export engineers to Taiwan. We signed a memorandum of understanding with Israel to export workers because the Israelis stopped hiring Muslim workers and wanted Hindu workers after the war with Palestine. So you have a world that is desperate for people, and we are of course still producing them. And the best of ours are leaving the country. I end on this note that the entire elite of this country, you look at the next generation, the children of your top political leadership, administrative leadership, business leadership, academic leadership, armed forces leadership, across the next generation is emigrated. And that is going to be a bigger challenge as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your profound and enlightening valedictory. May I now request Professor S. Srinivasamurthy, Director, IPE, to address the gathering.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let us pay respects to all our gurus, teachers, because of whose selfless efforts and blessings we are all in this position today. Most respected Chief Guest, Dr. Sanjay Baru Garu, Distinguished Fellow at the United Service Institution of India and former Media Advisor to PM, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy Garu, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, and Professor Tulasi Brinda Vardarajan, President, and Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary, Indian Economic Association, Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy, Local Organized Secretary and Honorary Director SSR, SRC, and Professor Anirban Sarkar, and Professor Lakshmi Kumari, and all the distinguished members present here. and press and electronic media. So, 3-day event conducted by the Indian Economic Association, jointly with IPE and Department of Economics, Osmani University, has provided a forum to discuss about a very important topic like Viksit Bharat. India, as Dr. Sanjay Baru was telling, that India is the crossroads now. On the one hand, India is the largest populated country. We can pat ourselves for that. We have outshined China, and it is largest and highly respected democracy in the world. India is playing a leadership role in some of the areas. Now, how can we convert this demographic dividend to our advantage is the greatest challenge. And Dr. Sanjay Baru has cautioned and also given the areas where we should be working towards that. India, as it is the largest populated country, certainly, at least how we have to take care of the people. Food is one important thing that is going to play a major role. Food security, not only the border security, and also creating employment for people and sustain the economy for the next generations. So sustainable goals have to be attained. Keeping this in mind, how to convert India as the 4th largest economy to the 3rd largest economy by 2047. It's a great idea. Having vision for the country as a whole and the entire country working towards that, all the states, all the institutions, organizations, individuals, everyone is working towards that. And also, Dr. Sanjay Baru has given the federal structure, the responsibilities, a situation where states are competing with each other. Some states are having higher growth rates than other states. So how to take India forward is a great challenge. But certainly, with all the resources available, as we have the largest young population in the globe, and largest number of engineering graduates, management graduates, educated lot available, entire globe will be looking for India to get the human resources. But that is possible only when we bring out the skilled people from universities and higher education institutions. NEP 2020 says that skill-based education, so that the corporate sector can employ them without any further training. So we have to design the courses in such a way that the students are readily accepted by the industry. That is the greatest challenge. We have to design the curriculum in those directions, and we have to strengthen all other sectors by providing sector-specific courses and also providing employment opportunities to the various sections of the society. So, excellent lecture. Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Sanjay Baru Garu. It is a great thing. I thank the Indian Economic Association and Dr. D.K. Madanji, Professor Sudha Reddy Garu for giving the Institute of Public Enterprise an opportunity to work together. It's a great occasion. Entire campus is full of intellectual personalities, paper presenters. So I am sure this 3-day program has given, I think after that proceedings will come out, the various suggestions towards Viksit Bharat. Now we are the people who have to work towards that. And thank you one and all for attending this conference, and also for being, IB being the host, and also you would enjoyed our hospitality. And certainly it is a credit to the Department of Economics, Osmani University, having Indian Economic Association meeting here. Thank you one and all. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable contribution. We now request remarks by Association President. May I invite Professor Dulasi Brinda Varadarajan, President, Indian Economic Association, to share her remarks. Madam, please.
Good afternoon to all. Honorable dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. We had successfully conducted this 108th Indian Economic Association's annual conference. And we invited so many dignitaries for the benefit of the young scholars and the budding scholars like Professor N.K. Singh, Madam Samika Ravi, and Taran Singh of ICSSR, and Professor Lakshmananji from Bangalore, and N.K. Dhaneja sir. And now we have invited the alumni of this university, Sanjay Baru sir, because he is proud of saying that he is the alumni of this university, rather than the position that now currently he is having. And it is how much he is proud of his alma mater, now I can understand. And we also heard the chairman of Telangana State Council of Higher Education, and we are proud that he was very happy to come over here. I must congratulate the local organizing secretary for having brought him, because we are now they have got more than 100 crore, 1000 crores, 1000 crores for the development of Usmania University. So this because of the help of this maybe Professor Balakrishna Reddy. And friends, we had a very good interactions for the past three days. We had 5 themes, and we discussed a lot about the themes Viksit Bharat 2047 and this structural changes that are happening in the Indian economy and the trade war between the globally what it is happening. This especially through tariff. And the 4th one is traditional knowledge. These people, those who have come from and spoke, the resource person, imparted how in your minds, how our traditional knowledge is very much important. And it is not fair on the part of the Indian Economic Association to study about the Telangana economy. So since this conference is held in Telangana, so buddy scholars are presenting wonderful papers. So apart from the resource persons, they are trained, but we must appreciate the younger scholars on Telangana economy. So how they are deeply attached and how they are part and parcel of the development of the Telangana economy. That we can understand of each and every paper, no, we must appreciate them. Definitely, we must appreciate the presenters of Telangana economy. So we are now at the validity session, and Professor Baru was emphasizing on we have to study the current challenges, and then we talk about the Viksit Bharat future. Okay. So the current challenges we can talk, all of us can talk, even the senior economist and the young economist. But the future, what is the roadway? That has to be decided by the young scholars through your research, through your findings, through your policy strategies. So in future, kindly concentrate on having understood the objectives of Viksit Bharat. You kindly concentrate on what are all the research you have to take at the local level, regional level, and the national levels. Okay, with the primary data is more important, and you have to collect those data, and you have to give some kind of good findings through our analysis, and you have to give the policy recommendations to the government. So I request all the research scholars to concentrate on, as Professor Baru has said, that we have to, because current challenges, like he was mentioning about this brain drain. It was observed earlier also, Jagadish Bhagavati's work. But we have to see, now also we are having the challenge. But now we are having the challenge in the different way, they are coming back. because of the policies of the government, the foreign governments, they are forced to send back. So what is our approach? What is the Indian government's approach? Those who are coming from our talented people, they went there and worked for so many years, and now they are thrown out of the these hosted country. So we have to see the such type of policies. And this, the chairman of Telangana State University, he talked about more on environment. Being an environmental economist, I also thought of that we have to concentrate on more on environment and how we are globally not cheated. We are globally, we are making part of our member of some of the world forums, but our voices are not taken much. Our voices on environment, even in Hope 30 also. So we have to see that. So we have to see these environmental treaties, environmental agreements and also. So these validity sessions, these two speakers imparted you some kind of new thoughts in your mind, and you have to take care of that. And this Indian Economic Association is highly thankful to the resource persons, those who have come from the inaugural session to the validity session. And I am also highly thankful to the Usmania University Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Local Secretary, and also the Indian Institute of Public Administration Director, those who have given such a wonderful facility for us. And we have enjoyed, sir, we enjoyed. We were comfortable. We were comfortable in having the session and anything, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. I am not fair to thank the local secretary, how he had struggled for the past 2.5 months. So, but he had arranged wonderfully. No one had complained anything. Okay? So, sir, wonderfully he had organized, and we are very much thankful, and this association will continue with you in future also. So, we are expecting your cooperation, sir, and your institution cooperation. And I must also thank the resource persons as well as the participants. Without participants, no conference will be successful. So more than 24 states, 27 states, participants had attended. Okay, we must be thankful how hardship they had traveled, and but they had enjoyed the academic knowledge, and they gained academic knowledge here. So one and all, I thank you, and we will meet in the future conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your leadership and inspiring words. We now move to the acknowledgements. May I invite Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary, Indian Economic Association, to present the acknowledgements. Sir, please.
Esteemed Chief Guest of the Valedictory session, Dr. Sanjay Baru, Professor Dulasi Brinda, President, Indian Economic Association, Professor S. Murthy, Director, IPE, Professor Lakshmi Kumari, Dean, IPE, my friend Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy, Local Organizing Secretary, Dr. Anirban Sarkar and Dr. M. Madhavan, report presenters, my dear EC members, distinguished guests, now is the time to disperse. And before disperse, I am very much thankful to the organizers because in spite of so much difficulties, and he and me, we know what happened, and despite that challenges, we successfully conducted this conference. In that sense, I am very much thankful to his deputy local organizing secretary, Professor Ramulu. He was every time with me. Many scholars, volunteers, they did a very good job. Especially I can mention Dr. Malika Raju, Dr. Govardhan Reddy, Dr. T. Ramesh, Dr. Satish, Sandeep Kumar, scholar, and those who were writing all these registration committees members, Karna Shri, Vanita, they did an excellent job. And last but not the least, I am very much thankful from the core of my heart on the behalf of IA to Dr. Jacob. He is the administrative officer, and he performed day and night for this conference. Really, I am very much thankful on this. I am also thankful to my EC members, those who performed very well in this conference, especially for parallel technical sessions, our joint secretaries, Professor Anirban Sarkar, Professor Sanju Karol, EC member Dr. M. Madhavan, my friend Professor C. Muthuraja, Professor Arunachalam, Joint Secretary, Professor Chinnamai, Professor Rekha Acharya, Professor B. Jani. They did an excellent job. And I am also thankful to our Professor Parameswar, Professor and EC member from Telangana, K. Raja Rao, Professor Vinayak Deshpande ji he came from Nagpur. And sir, I also want to mention that around 27 states this time we represented in this conference. So that's why I am really thankful to all the delegates who came here, and my friend told me that 110 presentations were made by the delegates. I am really thankful to them. We also released abstracts, and in that one also, my friend Dr. Anirban Sarkar, Joint Secretary, he did a lot of work day and night for this one. Our Joint Secretary, Professor P. Arunachalam, his role was like a Hanuman. Because he did heavy work. And he was calling me every time, Professor, what to do, and coordinating with the local organizing secretary also. Really, I am thankful to you, sir. Now, I am also thankful to our chief guest, because whenever I requested him to deliver your valedictory address, he immediately accepted our invitation, and I was very happy now, because he is the alumni of this, and I came to know that he was the his first job as lecturer in economics. That was in 1978 in the Department of Economics, Osmania University. today I met his students and their students. So he became grandparent, grandparents. So this is also good thing because Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy also told me that if you invite that he will come and it is good for our department also. So that is a good thing for us also. His book actually today also under the Viksit Bharati explained that is succession of the successful on elite immigration. I have not read, but today I know about the contents of the book and that he did a wonderful work. Really, one book I already read, that is The Accidental Prime Minister. No doubt after that, 2-3 books again he wrote on that. But this book we should also read in that way because he raised so many important issues in that one. As Madam also said, he is advocating about the current challenges. He told our Professor Ramlu to do study on the problems of Hyderabad city. I also request all the delegates that study should be done city-wise also, these metro cities, what the problems they are facing and what are the solutions. We can get some projects on this issue, and this is a very important topic for our projects. If we can solve the problem of all the metropolitan city in India, that is a good for our Viksit Bharat. So now it is a time because in our conference we are also giving best paper award in that one. So best paper award certificates, we had 8 sessions under the parallel technical sessions. And in the 8th session, the best, no doubt, 8 best paper we have received. But out of the 8, the top one name I will reveal last. And before that, I invite these best paper presenters here to get their certificate from our chief guest. First is K. Amrutha. K. Amrutha from Central University of Andhra Pradesh. Is she sitting in this? No. Okay. Ms. Pagal Chauhan from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Yes. Please come. Ms. Rashi Bagga, University of Mumbai. Rashi Bagga, University of Mumbai, she is not there. Missy M.K., Miss Missy M.K., University of Madras. University of Madras, Missy M.K. Mr. Dinesh Galhot, Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Meerut. Dinesh Galhot. Ms. Gopika B., Gandhigram Rural Institute, Tamil Nadu. Gopika B., she is not there. Mrs. Thish Renkidi, yes. Osmania University, good. Yes, please. Now the top best paper, you can guess also. And that is going to Mr. M. Arun Kumar, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekanand College, Chennai. So, by not taking too much time, because lunch is also waiting for us. Once again, I am thankful to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the encouraging and thoughtful address. Finally, to formally conclude this valedictory session and propose the vote of thanks, I request Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy, sir, Local Organizing Secretary, IEA, and Honorary Director, ICSSR, South Regional Center. Sir, please.
Very good afternoon to you all. Distinguished guests on the dais, of the dais, Dr. Sanjay Baru, Distinguished Fellow at the United Service Institution of India, former media advisor to the Prime Minister, Professor Manmohan Singh. Really, it's a very proud moment, entire Department of Economics and Usman University. Now, lot of our scholars, students get inspiration by listening to you. Really, it's a very wonderful lecture, sir. And Professor Dulasi Bunda Varadarajan, President of Indian Economic Association, Professor D.K. Madan, Secretary, Indian Economic Association, Professor Anirban Sarkar, Professor S. Srinivasamurthy, Director, Institute of Public Enterprises, Professor Lakshmi, Dean, Research, Institute of Public Enterprises, and galaxy of economists sitting off the dais is Professor Arunachalam, Professor Ramakrishna sir, Professor Ramlu, Professor Jani, and Professor Pratap Reddy sir. All of you, very good afternoon once again. It's very tough time to propose vote of thanks because in the process of organizing this IEA conference, so many numerous people helped beyond the scene. Only I am the forefront. There are many who are working together in a team to organize at a very short period of time. That was very, very tough. When I applied for many institutional support, almost all the institutions just say you need to apply at least 2 months in advance. Almost all they say better next time. That's the reply I got from many government institutions and financial institutions. In spite of that, we could able to manage. Now, as the curtain falls, this memorable 3-day intellectual endeavor, we are reminded the Upanishad's wisdom that every end is the beginning. So this conclusion, therefore, signifies to start new ideas, collaborations, scholarly pursuits on this special occasion. I record my heartfelt gratitude to the intellectual architects of this conference, contributors, paper presenters, whose collective scholarship dedication made this academic journey of 3 days enriching and inspiring. My foremost gratitude goes to Sri N.K. Singh, Chairman, 15th Finance Commission, for his visionary and inspiring address in spite of his busy schedule. Department of Economics is very fortunate to have for the inaugural session. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Shamika Ravi, member of the Economic Advisory Council, to the Prime Minister for a thought-provoking presidential address. Almost all the delegates enthralled while listening to our address. I am deeply grateful to Professor Dhananjay Singh, Member Secretary, Indian Council for Social Science Research, New Delhi, for his enlightening remarks on the contributions of ICSSR. I sincerely thank Professor Bunda Varadarajan for her unwavering dedication to the Indian Economic Association. I also equally thank Professor D.K. Madan for his invaluable guidance, encouragement, support, without which this conference would not have seen the light of the day. We know so many times interacted over phone, even Google Meet also. Whenever I get a call, I used to afraid of him. What is going to ask? Really, it was very stress and strain time for me all these 15 days. Sometimes I am not used to lift his call because what is that I have to take up. So new thing may come. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. But is very, very balanced person. Whatever we say, no problem, sir. Really, I learned that one thing from him, and very calmly saying, nothing, ho jayega. How can it go, sir? No, don't worry, it will take. Really, it's very great, sir. That encouragement which you have given. Otherwise, I would have been little bit shaky how to organize this without financial much support from the various institutions. He said, ho jayega. So now that has come to true. Thank you, sir. My appreciation also extends Professor Srinivasa Murthy, Director IPE. When I requested him for co-sponsorship, providing generous logistical and financial support, he has just said, yes, I am there, you go ahead, sir. Wholeheartedly has supported me in organizing this in conference. Please give him big applause. I also wholeheartedly thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Kumar, for his constant encouragement, moral support, and gracious presence despite his busy schedule. I also appreciate my old 2 decades friend, Professor Arunachalam, from the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, who has played very key role in organizing this conference. He needs all the appreciations, Professor Arunachalam. He endured all the stress and strain involved in organizing this 108th annual conference. I extend my sincere thanks to all the chairpersons, plenary and technical sessions for guiding scholarly discussions with rigor and fairness. I am especially grateful to Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy, Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, for his taking time. He was to attend a government meeting. I requested him, sir, at least come for 10 minutes. Your presence will make a lot of difference. And all the 27 states across delegates have come. They want to see who is the chairman of State Council of Higher Education. So he has accepted, but one condition he said, you have to leave me in just 15 minutes. So delivering his address also, I thank you very much. I thank print and electronic media for their extensive coverage for the academic event. My sincere appreciation goes to all the paper presenters, delegates from across India for their enthusiastic participation, patience, dedication in academic excellence. In spite of limited resources, all the delegates really, they cooperated very well. Even the madam also suffering at airport, madam, nothing will happen. No, no, is it safe? She landed at 11:30. Her mobile was not working. Now, how do I come now? That's the issue. I said, no, no, don't worry. Hyderabad is very safe city, madam. And I alerted my scholars, please be available at the guest house. Maybe madam may come by 12 o'clock. So that's how I said, wherever is allotted, nothing matter. First alert in the guest house, OU guest house. So that is. Working together with our dedication core team. This is all possible with only our dedicated core team, that is Dr. Jacob Kalle, Dr. Mallikarjun, Dr. Karnasri, Dr. Govardhan Reddy, Dr. Vanitha, Dr. Satish, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Ranjit, Dr. Ugender, Mr. Venu and Sarita has been truly rewarding experience. Their willingness to take on responsibilities and their excellent teamwork ensured the flawless competition for every task. I appreciate their commitment, enthusiasm and professionalism culture. I also thank Deputy Organizing Secretary, Professor Ramulu, who's always stood with me for anything. Really very thankful to sir. I express my sincere gratitude to the donors. Few resources we have received from the donors, supporters of this conference. The Mr. Srinivas Acharya is the founder chairman, Vishweshwani Institutions, who has very generously extended financial assistance, also timely provision of transportation. So he has immediately agreed to provide transportation. He has sponsored 2 buses. The very next day, one bus failed. And there was a little delay, 15-20 minutes. I am getting a lot of calls. Then I called him, sir, something you have to do, send a bus, cancel one route bus and send it. He said, no, nothing to worry, sir. 10 minutes, bus will reach to your guest house. I will cancel the students, then I will send it to you. He has promised and he has sent it immediately. And thank you very much. Also, Dr. Avinash is the chairperson, Avinash Group of Institutions, who has also extended financial support. And Tapasya Group of Institutions, Jahnavi Group of Institutions, and B.R. Ambedkar College, Avanti Group of Institutions, and Siddhartha Group of Institutions. And I also thank Professor Surendra Reddy. When he came to me and discussing with me, the AI exponent is here, then I asked, what would you contribute to the IESR? He said, I will contribute one intellectual thing. What is that intellectual thing? He said, 2026 yearbook of Manorama not yet released. I will supply all the delegates Manorama yearbook. The Manorama yearbook which is kept in the bag is sponsored by this Surendra Reddy. So give him big hand. Okay. And also I thank cartoonist Ravi. When he came to me, I want to, please Ravi, just stand up. When he came to me, he said, he's a Hindu newspaper cartoonist. Then he discussed, and I said, this is the 108 years annual conference. Whatever the cartoons we are going to do, it must reflect this 108 years. So he has done so meticulously, which is displayed in the one of the conference, all reflecting all 108 years of IEA conferences. Really, he has done very dedicated job doing that. Seminar also, yeah, you can also visible all the walls, that cartoons which he has done on his own. Really, I appreciate you, sir. Yeah, if I did not thank entire team of Department of Economics and many well-wishers who behind the scenes offered valuable suggestions and support that contributed immensely to the success of this conference. I also thank entire department, also Usmania University administration, registrar, vice chancellor, AR, DR, whatever kind of letter I wanted, immediately they have given to me. Whenever I reached that office, before that only they kept the ready all the letters. So I thank once again, Honorable Vice Chancellor. I also thank all the executive members, joint secretaries, all the IEA members. In spite of hardship, they never raised anything. Really, they are all very, very cooperative. And this success, credit goes to all executive members, and more so it is Madan sir. So thank you all giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
Now is the time to honor our chief guest. On behalf of Indian Economic Association, I request Professor K. Raja Mohan Rao, Dr. M. Madhavan, Dr. Kamaljeet Kaur, Professor Arunachalam, those who are sitting on the first row, they can come, all EC member. Yes.
Next one, Madam. Next one,
Facilitate. Next we announce.
As part of the vote of thanks and in recognition of their valuable contributions, the local organizing committee and Department of Economics will now facilitate distinguished personalities.
Now it's felicitation for Tulasi Brunda ma'am. On behalf of the Department of Economics, Local Organizing Committee, we would like to felicitate Tulasi Brunda ma'am. Thank you so much. Now we request the delegates to delegate Madhan sir, Secretary, Indian Economic Association, the most important person. Now I request the delegates to felicitate Sanjay Baru Garu. Doctor. Srinivasa Murthy sir, Director IP. I request sir to accept our felicitation as a token of gratitude and respect. Now I request the delegates to felicitate Anirban Sarkar sir. Professor Anirban Sarkar, Joint Secretary IEA and Registrar West Bengal State University, Kolkata.
On behalf of IEA to Sudhakar Reddy.
On behalf of the Indian Economic Association, a small felicitation for the local Joint Secretary, Professor Sudhakar Reddy Garu. All executive members of the Indian Economic Association are requested to join for the felicitation. Now we have Professor Lakshmi Kumari ma'am, Dean Research IPE with us. We are very glad to have you ma'am. I request the delegates to felicitate Professor Lakshmi Kumari ma'am. Thank you for the great support that we have received from you ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are arranging it in back. We are arranging it in back. Now I request the delegates to felicitate Professor Arunachalam sir. Professor Arunachalam sir. Thank you for the great support that is extended by you sir. Thanks a lot.
Other states, Telangana friends, please wait some more time.
Now I request the audience to raise for the national anthem.
No. We announce.
Now I request the audience to raise for the national anthem.
Start.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद
जय हिंद जय आइए